All right, let me start that over. What you're about to see is a little doc that I made of the star of Steven Soderbergh's film Bubble, actress Debbie Doebereiner. How I developed an interest for her is I was in Los Angeles hanging out with a friend of mine, and she had just seen the movie and urged me, my friend Deanna Brooks, who's an actor friend of mine, she told me that there's, like, I have to go out and see Bubble as soon as I can. I had heard about Bubble and how amazing it was, and the process of making that movie. So I went out and saw it. She was absolutely right. I freaked out. I probably saw it like 5 or 6 times in a row. Got the DVD, looked at all the footage on the DVD, all the extra footage. It was absolutely incredible footage. Absolutely incredible human being. And it just so happens that my folks live in Columbus, Ohio, where I spent part of my childhood. And so I immediately was interested in the film because it was, an interesting concept in a doll factory in Parkersburg, West Virginia, which is right on the border of Ohio. The next time I was out in Ohio visiting the folks, I decided and see if I could do one of a video portrait, because there's one scene where it's a very cropped close-up of her face, and it's very similar to my video portraits. So and she's got such a dynamic, intense, perfect face for film. She was really cool about it, and so we went to the Lafayette Hotel and had an absolute blast. And I'm so glad I got to interview her. So that's basically what you're seeing, is you're seeing an interview followed by a piece of the video portrait that I made. And that's it. So I hope you really enjoy it as much as I did. Thanks. All right, that's it.
I'm Debbie Doebereiner, and we're at the most beautiful hotel in Marietta called the Lafayette.
Nice.
I think the reason that I did relate with her was my first marriage ended in a divorce, of course, and there was a younger woman. And I could have choked her, yes. It wouldn't have been hard at all. And so that sort of, I drew from that. And I think that gave me the willingness to be able to do the character. And so Misty was that sort of character because I had that relationship with Kyle, which he was like my son, sort of, more than a romantic relationship. It was more like best friends, best buds. I mean, when he was actually there, trying to convince me, he could have convinced me that I murdered someone even if I didn't. That's how good he was. And when he threw that picture down and I saw Misty, who was Rose, and thought of her, as my friend, and she was dead, and I thought, oh, I've killed her, that I had actually think that I sort of slipped into it then, yeah.
Wow.
I tried to convince them all through the whole movie that I wasn't going to kill her, that it was going to be Jake. But they didn't buy it. I had to kill her.
You had a good time?
Oh, I never had so much fun in my life. My mom said that I always studied everybody. She said I would bring my chair right up in front of a person and just stare at them. And my uncle used to kid and say, quit, staring at me with those beady little eyes. I was always taking everything in. And I just think that, everything's instilled from my mom. I really believe that. My grandpa said, when you grow up, you can be anything you want to be. And to me, that meant you can do anything you want to do, become anything you want to become, and, your own destiny. You write your destiny. You make things happen for yourself. And I kind of believe that. I don't believe in luck, I guess. I think that you have to work hard, and your accomplishments will come from that, because you make it happen.
What did you think you were going to do when you were...
When I grew
when
up.
You grew up?
Oh, golly. I don't know. I always thought I would grow up and I would be a mom. Or I always wanted to be Cinderella when I was little. And I just never wanted to grow up. I still don't want to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all kids want to be a movie star. And that's what I've always said. I laughed because my mom said, you were always a ham. You always wanted to be in front of the camera. And if anybody had, you know, camera out taking pictures or snapshots, you were the first one there.
What was your favorite toy when you were a kid?
I had a Budding Beauty vanity I'd gotten for Christmas. And I remember, oh my gosh, it was awesome. And it was white. It was just a little plastic thing because we didn't have a lot of money when I was little. And I remember it had this little seat on it, and it was just, I was
What exactly is it?
It was like just a little, you know, girl's dressing table.
Okay.
And it was plastic, and it lifted up, had a mirror, and it had your little lipsticks and rouges and everything in it.
And you seem to be at peace.
Very much so.
Were you always like that, or did you...
No, not always. I had a really bad temper. And I think that I had to come to grips with that, and I think that God helped me come to grips with that temper. That was the only thing that got me through that, because there was, I can't even tell you, you know, how horrible that, I wouldn't even want to know that person today. I mean, that was a horrible person. I can't believe it was me.
How long ago did you transform that?
In 1976. I resolved that issue. I went through a lot of different religions.
Oh, really? Listen, like, talk a little bit about that. That's
Okay,
cool.
like Methodist, then I went to Apostolic, you know, the Holy Roller thing. I went through that. So I went through a lot of different phases with religion. I think because my dad dying when I was young, you know, he left me. So I think that.
It's painful. I mean, when you're
Very.
a kid too, and you don't... And do you pray?
Yes, I do.
What do you feel
I do pray.
when you feel stuck today? What gets you?
Prayer.
Prayer. And what's your favorite kind of food?
All seafood, see it and eat it kind. Just like when I met my husband now, I weighed 115 pounds. And look at me now, there's two of me, you know. And it's probably, he never says a word though, never. He is the kindest man. Now my first husband, it was like, don't you think you need to lose 5 pounds? You know. Of course I think I weighed 125 when I got pregnant and 210 when I delivered my first kid. I like all music. Piano. It depends on what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
If I want to be peaceful and restful, you know, I'll even put on Bach, heck. I like it all. But I'm a country girl at heart. Let me tell you, it was horrible to retire.
Really?
Yes, it really was. The honest to goodness reason that I did retire is I had severed my Achilles tendon. Mm-hmm. And which meant that they had to, you know, cut me on the leg and pull it out and then put it back in with metal pins. And that was right before we started shooting the movie. It was, you know, just a few months. And the reason that I retired is because I couldn't stand on it the 15 hours a day. It was killing me. And I loved my job working at KFC. I really did. It was fun. I like people. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I could talk to a rock. That's what everybody tells me. You could talk to a rock. And I don't judge people, you know. And I think that comes from my mom. And she's never been, you know, real judgmental of other people. She has been of us kids, though. Wonder what that's about. Well, if people don't like you, so what? You know, everybody has an opinion. You just try that much more to be nice to that person. and maybe you'll win them over and maybe you won't. But, as long as you're happy with you and who you are, it doesn't hurt as bad. I know that I can't be hurt. I'm kind of guarded where nothing could really, really, really hurt me. I don't know how to explain that. I can be hurt, but not torn apart. Because I had been torn apart before, and I thought, nothing will ever do that to me again. But in a way, I think maybe I'm lying, because I can think of a few things that might. I started out on the bottom, which was a drive-through cashier. And I used to kid my boss, which was Rick Wright. I used to say, one of these days I'm going to have your job. And he would laugh and he'd say, oh, you probably will. And then I actually went through a rough time, and he actually fired me once. And that was when I went through my wild child phase, when I was going through my divorce. Because I would, go out and party and not come to work. Then I met my husband, who is my husband now. And I wanted him to be proud of me. And so I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to go back to work and get my job back at KFC. So I went down and I begged for my job back, District Manager Bill Shipley. And he said, Deb, he said, you goofed up. You'll never be anything more than a drive-through cashier. And I remember him turning around, and right behind him I said, watch me. They offered me assistant manager or shift supervisor down at Belpre. And he said, oh, okay. So I go to Belpre's shift supervisor. 3 or 4 months later, they offered me the assistant manager's position. A few months later, they said, Deb, we're going to make you the manager of Belpre. And then I said, well, I'm moving to a bigger restaurant in Parkersburg. I said, David, I'm going to be in a movie. And he said, yeah, right, honey. Same thing. And so he didn't believe me, not until we went to the bubble party at the Blennerhassett. He met Steven, and everybody comes up and says, what do you think of your wife being in a movie? He didn't even believe it till then. Somebody asked me when I was in Milan if I was gonna move to LA. And I said, if I was younger, it might be, something that I would do, but my family's here, my friends are here, and they know where I am. If they want me to be in a movie, I'm sure that, they'll call me. This is my roots, my home. I love it here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's understandable. It's so gorgeous. Do you quilt?
Quilt?
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Really?
Yes, I'm learning.
My mother's a quilter.
Is she really?
In fact, not only is she a quilter, but she has a quilt group.
Ramona Tornes quilts, and she told me, I've seen her quilts, and they are the most beautiful things you've ever seen. The church group does it, and she said, you come down and I'll teach you. So I wondered how you knew that. I thought, who in the heck's he talking to? I love my animals. I am like Dr. Doolittle, yes. I like all animals, and my animals are rescued. And I love them dearly. Mickey and Zeus. The most important thing is be happy. And don't worry, don't sweat the little things. Just live life to the fullest. And love what you're doing. Love everything that you're doing. Because if you're stuck in a job you don't like, get the heck out of there and try something new. But I think the thing that matters to me the most is just family.
He's sitting on the square. Next time I see him, he had his family there. Oh, evil here, oh, evil everywhere. They done ate up all his cotton and corn, oh, but that new ground square. Well, the farmer asked him much for some meat and